Memory Lane, the 88th Doctor Who main range Big Finish release, first released in 4 parts across CD and download in October of 2006, written by Eddie Robson. Summers when you're older, like when you're a teenager or when you're an adult, they're never quite as memorable or as kind of happy as the ones that you had when you were a kid. And for a young kid named Tom Brody, he's pretty much living his best summer. Kind of biking every day to his grandmother's house, having nothing to do but play with Legos and eat ice lollies all day long. However, when the 8th Doctor, voiced once again by Paul McGann, and his companions, Charlie Pollard, voiced by India Fisher, and Keris, voiced by Conrad Westmer, show up, they discover everything is not quite as it seems. I mean, Brody himself believes himself to only be like 10 years old, 10 and a half really, but he appears to be much older than that. I mean, he's voiced by Neil Reedman, for one thing, and it just seems rather odd. But his grandmother, Mrs. Brody, voiced by Nina Baden-Sempter, she doesn't really see anything wrong until the Doctor and his companions can't quite find the TARDIS again, because they landed it in Mrs. Brody's front room, her living room, blocking her view of the snooker. But in the process, they find that every single house on the street is identical. As well, there also seems to be almost no difference in between the residents of the street. They all seem to be old women, much like Mrs. Brody. And things only get weirder when the TARDIS ends up getting stolen by an ice cream van. And to be honest, that's not a sequence of words I ever thought I'd ever have to say with Doctor Who, that the TARDIS was stolen by an ice cream van. Anyway, they end up encountering a woman named Kim Kronotska, voiced by Sarah Carver, who reveals that she is actually an astronaut, and that Tom is as well. And that they eventually work out that they're on a planet called Lucentra, and that Tom and Kim had been about to crash land on Lucentra. However, Kim was able to get away. However, Tom ended up crash landing. And his mind seems to have reverted, or been manipulated to revert to this kind of happy time in his childhood, this kind of perfect era of happiness for him. However, things end up becoming really weird as well when Charlie also is affected and seemingly remembers her mother, Lady Louisa Pollard, voiced once again by former Doctor Who actress Annika Wells. And they eventually end up finding out that on this planet of Lucentra, the two people who they have to deal with, and are kind of the antagonists of the story, are a man named Lest, voiced by Charlie Ross, who seemingly stands in as the ice cream man on this particular street of happiness, and his boss Argo, played by Neville Watchurst. And they're keeping Tom as a kind of prisoner. Like, they've created these mindscapes, and they're able to kind of implant them into anyone who lands on Lucentra. They're able to kind of take over their mind and make them believe something of bliss, something that they want, while they're kept prisoner. Like, at one point, they manipulate the Doctor's mind into believing he's just defeated a great villain, and Charlie and Keris are aboard the TARDIS. But obviously, nothing's quite as it seems, and this only grows more dangerous when Argo and Lest want to be able to get into the TARDIS, so they try and manipulate the Doctor's visions. But one thing I do like about this particular story is it does actually reference a previous Doctor Who Big Finish story, one that I quite liked, that being The Chimes at Midnight. When Charlie is in her particular vision, she kind of reverts to how she was in a kind of childlike state, and when she says to her mother that she's particularly hungry, her mother says, "Oh, don't worry, we're going to be having all the good stuff tonight for dinner, including roast dinner and all that." But she says, "I'm still hungry now." "Well, all right, you can go down to the kitchen and have Edith make you a jam sandwich, but only one slice of bread and no butter." To which I do like them acknowledging Edith, because The Chimes at Midnight, I will admit, is one of my favourite Big Finish stories. And just to still reference Edith and remember that she was still there, that's always nice to hear. But then also it shows kind of darkness in it, in that they try to manipulate Keris's mind, but then find they can't exactly work out what he wants. And so he ultimately helps them to find out the big picture of things. And the weird thing about the race, the Loose Entrants, is that they're trying to restage First Contact with the human race. Like they want to kind of restage Tom Brody's crash onto Lucentra, and the reason why they're doing this is they have no visual recordings. They don't have VCR, DVD, or streaming services. They just want to try and recreate the entire thing from scratch, which is kind of a bit odd. But the story is a little bit hard to explain. I mean, it's very much rose-tinted glasses. It does have that kind of view of it. But at the same time, it's difficult to explain. Have a listen for yourself to Memory Lane and see what you think of it. I'm sure you'll find something in there that you enjoy. But we're drawing to a close for this particular era of Doctor Who Big Finish, and it seems with the next few stories, things may be about to change for our companions, and at least one of them may not get out alive. As the next Big Finish story I'm hoping to listen to and review is Absolution. What'll happen in that? Well, we'll have to wait and see. Till next time, see ya.